from the vault, high atop the pastoral center of the Diocese of Camden, you're listening to Talking Catholic.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Talking Catholic, the video. I said video podcast here, Mike.
No, I know. That's because, and that's a good thing.
Why is that?
Well, here's the thing. We never get a chance to promote the fact that you are also the video podcast host of our YouTube show of your own with Jose Rodriguez. And what is it called?
Compartiendo tu don.
That's right. So this is not a video podcast. This is a good old-fashioned audio podcast.
We're linking our efforts
That's
here.
Right. That's right. And, and for those of you who are of the Spanish-speaking persuasion, the next episode will come out when?
Tomorrow!
That's right.
And it's going to be available early tomorrow, right?
That's right. And one of our previous guests of Talking Catholic is the guest of that show, Luisa Madrasa.
Luisa Medrano.
Did I say Madrasa?
Yes, you did.
I apologize, Madrano.
Oh, my goodness.
Luisa, well, I make fun of Luisa all the time, so she gets to make fun of me now for screwing up her last name.
I'm going to have her hear this podcast for sure. But,
nice.
Let's stop that talk and let's get into the real thing.
That's right.
Here,
We're not talking the YouTube show right now. We're talking Discover Catholic Schools Week.
Discover Catholic Schools Week, and we're really excited in the Catholic Schools Office right now. And I think not only in the Catholic Schools Office, but in all of our South Jersey Catholic schools, because we are doing this new thing called Discover Catholic Schools, which is really a celebration of who we are as Catholic schools. We want people to discover the schools near them and to get to understand what are Catholic schools about, right? And for that, we have the people who actually delivered that message in our schools. And so we have two representatives of our Catholic schools, Jen Marisi, who is a teacher at St. Peter's School in Merchantville. We also have Stuart Brayshaw. Did I say that right, Mike?
Almost. Brayshaw, I think, would be slightly more accurate, but you're almost there.
It's my Spanish.
That's right.
And so he's from Christ the King, and I'll have them sort of like tell us themselves what they do at these particular schools before we go ahead and talk about Discover Catholic Schools. Do we start with Stuart?
Stu, that's
all right.
Stu.
Then we'll start with me then. I teach fourth grade at Christ the King Regional, and I've been at Christ the King for about, I'm in my 9th year now. And because I'm self-contained in fourth grade, I teach all subjects. And, obviously when I'm speaking to my public school friends, I always have to say, including religion. But if we're speaking to the Catholic community, then I'm just going to say all subjects.
All subjects. Yeah. That's right.
That's very neat.
And also with us today is...
Jennifer Marisi from St. Peter's School in Merchantville.
And you teach?
Yes.
I teach pre-K to 8 technology. So when people ask me what grades do you teach, I just say all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then I do a little STEM program, which is growing a lot. And we do grades 3 to 8 STEM. And then I kind of push into grades pre-K, K, 1 and 2, where I just kind of push in and I just include a little STEM activity that is already in their pre-made curriculum with their teacher. So I do a lot of teacher teaching as well.
Can you describe for our audience, for those who may not hear the term before, what is STEM?
STEM is an acronym that stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. You can add an A for art, and that would be STEAM. You can add an R for religion or even reading, and it would be STREAM. But it's basically school. And it's just marketing.
Once you add so many letters, it becomes everything.
Yeah.
Right, it's just school.
When STEM first came out, I thought, that is actually brilliant. I thought that is a really good way of bringing science and technology and engineering and math back into the schoolroom and making sure that it was primary. And then, when it got to STREAM, I was like, okay, that's just school.
And then,
it's like, all right, that's just everything.
We can add a Z and an H. But it's really, it is a coordination and a combination of all of those subjects. But those subjects really never left school.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we kind of just, I might have paid our attention more to language arts and math because those Common Core curriculum and standardized testing and everybody's focus kind of went on that. But STEM never left school. but it's more evolving into more of a philosophy of teaching where we have these 21st century skills of like communication, critical thinking.
Correct.
Those other 4 C's I can't remember off the top of my head.
That's what happens at the podcast.
Right. And it's like a philosophy, and it's like we're bringing these problem solving skills to the forefront. So that's what I believe STEM is.
No, I think that makes perfect sense, and it definitely, particularly in today's culture, modern culture, where back in the day, I mean, when I went to school, all I wanted to be was a history teacher when I was in high school, and all I wanted to be was a history teacher when I was in college, and nobody told me that history teachers don't retire, they die. Before I actually went out looking at the job market, and I was a history teacher for 1 year, and then realized, man, I have other skill sets. Sadly, still none in the STEM category. But the truth of the matter is, I look at my nieces and nephews now, and my son going forward. I am thrilled that there's now a focus more on those STEM classes than there was. At least it felt like when I was in high school 25 years ago.
At least you can volunteer, Mike. When you retire, you'll be the history teacher you ever wanted to be.
Well, I always say when I was a kid, I was not artsy. I was not like tinkery. I didn't really play with Legos.
Yeah.
I just kind of did my sports, and that's kind of just what my parents kind of just drove me to do. Because I didn't really have the opportunity in school to really focus on like, this is our goal. This is a problem. Let's solve this problem, and let's think globally. So I feel like if I had this as a kid, I would have been a completely different person.
I think the beauty of STEM is that it comes at it from a hands-on and fun perspective, you know, for the children, you know, for the students. My daughter, she loved STEM back in high school, and now she's in college for architecture. So
that's awesome.
It definitely, you know, and that's not, you know, a very female-driven, you know, field. So I think having that STEM at that younger age, it definitely influenced her.
I agree. My niece is just started her first year in college, and from I'd say the middle, maybe the early high school years, it had always been computer science for her.
Wow.
And a lot of that was because of there was STEM in her grade school, and STEM was really strongly upheld in her high school. And her parents, fortunately, one is a statistician, and the other one is a Actually, I can't really tell what he is. He does computer stuff.
Say it's geeky.
Exactly.
That's all that matters.
So they are definitely following in the family footsteps.
My daughter Skylar, she's 6, and she wants to be an astronaut farmer.
Wow.
Oh.
So we went to Kennedy Space Center this summer.
How does one, by the way, farm astronauts?
Right. Well,
okay.
so
I love that.
we figured it out.
It's a very
so we went to
interesting
Kennedy
one.
Space Center, and we figured, well, they're going to need farms on the moon, and when we colonize the moon, and when we colonize Mars, so hydroponics. So she,
I love it.
Don't tell her, she'll be getting a little Christmas gift from a little kit, a hydroponics kit from Santa.
I
Oh,
like
my
it.
goodness.
So yeah, so STEM is all over my house, and
You know, I have no. So the reason, so I'm a huge fan of, I'm a huge proponent of STEM, and I love science. And if I had to do it all over again, I would have loved to have been a scientist. But what I found is that I'm an aficionado of science, but have no capability to handle algorithms and anything related to math. And it's terrible. Like I can't tell you the joy I felt when the Apple Watch came out with a tip calculator.
yes, me
Built
too.
in native. I'm like, I could finally do the tips and not have to ask anybody and feel like an idiot.
I'm so the same person. I cannot stand math, and I've had job offers for math, and I had to say sorry.
Yeah.
It would be a disservice to the kids if I taught math.
Well,
so
thank God we have Stu.
That's
for
right.
Stu.
That's why we have Stu.
Exactly.
So, sort of like going back to our Discover Catholic Schools Week topic, when you were, so you two were approached for a series of videos we are doing as part of the celebration of Catholic schools. And so I want to hear your story, like how do you feel when you were approached to create these videos? Because we want to make sure that people this week are tuned in with our social media and sort of like get to watch those videos. What did you feel about like Discover Catholic Schools Week. What is this? Because we have Catholic Schools Week already. What is this about, right?
Yeah, when Mr. Peabody reached out to me, I didn't really know exactly what you're saying. Like, we already have Catholic Schools Week. I didn't understand what this new thing was. The more she explained it, I like the concept. Let's let Catholic Schools Week, let that just be kind of more of a celebration of Catholic schools, and then this other week more the marketing piece.
Yes.
So I was very honored and flattered to be asked to be in the video. The piece that I focused on in my video was the math portion, and with like a STEM sort of approach to things, because and then when you were talking about STEM before, that's I believe another great aspect of STEM is just the cross-curricular aspect of it, and I try to teach every day from a cross-curricular perspective. So when we were talking about, when I did my piece, the video, the math portion that I focused on in the video was measurement. And
I saw that.
Yeah, because I actually was a scientist. When I first graduated college, the first go around, I was an environmental scientist. I did that for 10 years, and so when I teach about measurement, I teach the children. I give them a little story, a little scenario of, basically took them through a day in the life of me 10 years ago when I was environmental consulting. And I just told them a story and just kept repeating the word, measure this, and I measure that, and I measure this. And then I say, okay, what's the theme here? What are you noticing? And then measure kept coming up. And I said, well, but measurement's math. I was a scientist.
Yeah.
Why would I be measuring things? And they're like, well, because they go together. I'm like, yes, exactly. And that's really the thing that I'm always trying to get across to these students is that, in our American education system, we tend to split subjects up into individual categories. But in reality, in the world,
things
they're
happen
not
together, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There is no just this one piece. Like everything merges. So, I did mine. My piece on measurement, and it went very well, I think.
Yeah, I watch it too, so I can't wait to hear what the audience thinks of these series of videos that we came up with, because Mary Beth and Joan Kalitz did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
They really did.
We have
They
to
did.
say, sort of like getting these schools together and the talents that we got.
Well,
you
I'm
guys.
glad you mentioned talent, because what I'm hoping is that the audience realizes I'm not an actor, so
Oh no, that's what we wanted. We wanted a lot of authenticity.
It
when we
is
put
really
these things together.
authentic. And, I have to say, like, that measurement thing was, like, really brilliant. I think about, like, every time you go on Amazon and you have to buy something and you have to check, like, what the measurements are, like, that's a real skill, like, real life. And that's what I think our schools are trying to do more and more of, right?
Yeah, so going back to the concept of the videos, we really, so when I was part of the conversation with Mary Beth when we were coming up with, well, what do we do with Discover Catholic Schools Week? Because quite frankly, it was an initiative that came out from the National Catholic Education Association as a
Correct.
encouragement for schools to find another form, a fall form of Catholic Schools Week, realizing that the one that takes place at the end of January, early February, I found that it's actually kind of morphed into Spirit Week, where
That's
it's
a good way to put it.
very joyous, but not sure the best showcase necessarily is Pajama Day and things like that, but definitely a joy-filled time for students to be there, and you want that as part of Catholic Schools Week. So Discover Catholic Schools Week, we really wanted to focus on, well, what sets a Catholic school apart from every other school? In large respect, it's religion class, right? And the fact that we are able to publicly proclaim our spirituality as part of every element of our day. But at the same time, let's face it, there's also cultural and nuanced differences between Catholic school and public school. So as we were talking about it, we're like, well, what's the what would be the best way of sort of highlighting all these things? And sure enough, we went to the acronyms and we were like, well, this is going to last 7 days. So what will go with 7 days? And STREAM was 6. So that's we're almost there. And then we realized we needed an intro.
Good for marketing.
Exactly. We needed an intro. So there's our 7th day. And then we got so much good footage, we actually created a 9th video. So our 6-day plan ended up being 9. Or 7-day plan ended up being 9.
Well, that means it was good.
It was. Actually, we got a lot of great content, and so much so that once that week goes through, where we're going to be showcasing science and technology and religion, I just uploaded the first 3 to Facebook to roll out over the first 3 days.
So
we're gonna combine them all together and make just one video package at the very end, so that people who would be so interested can see.
That's awesome. I mean, for parents that have little kids in the ages of elementary school, like, I have to say that having children and having watched these videos already, because I got to watch them first, I felt really excited to, have the opportunity to have my children in Catholic schools. Like Mariana is in pre-K at St. Anthony right now. And so, we are all sort of like following the same curriculum and looking at the sort of like the diversity of our schools and the things that the teachers do with our students. It's so exciting. And as a parent, we know that, they're getting the education that they're supposed to be getting, right?
Yeah, and I kind of feel like our Catholic Schools Week celebration in January is really for the students and for the families. And so we're celebrating in our own community.
Correct.
But this initiative is more like, let's show the public and let's celebrate with the public what Catholic school education and what can do for us.
Yeah, it's really intended to be a showcase, and we thought of a couple of different ways that we could do it, and we, going back to what you had said about authenticity, we were trying to find the most authentic option. So, we know at this point, between the school's office and myself and the superintendent of schools, we have a pretty good handle of who are pretty impressive teachers that are out there. Which is nice.
Here.
And
we should call them.
They are here.
Yeah, you couldn't get them to come in, huh?
Well, there are 4 others, but you 2 made the list. So, but it's true, there is so much great talent out there in terms of teaching ability. Even in my son's school, I feel bad because I basically said, I was like, we featured St. Michael's a couple of times, and I said, we can't feature him as part of this because it's going to start looking like nepotism. But don't worry, St. Michael's. We'll come back to you. It always comes around again, so we'll get back to you again. But the truth of the matter, I was thinking about his school, and I was actually thinking at first, I was like, man, I would have a hard time choosing because there's a great stable of teachers everywhere.
And they're so talented in so many different ways.
Yeah. But the ones that are in the video this week are so enthusiastic. I was only able to make it to, I reviewed all of them. I was only able to make it to 3 shoots. I had a blast. It was a lot of, that's one of those times where we have a lot of fun on our job. Yeah. We get to go out, we get to do stuff. We get to, the teachers always think are the most nervous because I got the impression they felt like they were performing in front of their students. Right. And I think that can be difficult sometimes. But
well, the fact that you got to see our students, did
some of them are on the videos too.
Yeah, because you were with my digital saints, and they were just in awe. They were like a little starstruck, a little shocked, and a little like.
Well, when it's a famous podcast,
right?
Of course,
Well, the funny thing today, they were like, "What's a podcast?" And I was like, "Well, I'll show you later."
That's funny.
That's what my second grader
I told mine as I was walking out the door. I'm like, "Wish me luck."
Oh my gosh, my second graders started to applaud me. I was like, "Guys, stop it!" They didn't even come out yet. They're so
That's
cute.
all we want.
They're so cute. They're so excited.
I hope we can get at least 100 more likes this week.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Right? At least I'm saying.
That's what I want.
Yes.
This is really just an elaborate ploy for us to get more likes to the podcast.
So Jen, like when we're talking about Discover Catholic Schools, like I would like you to tell the audience, like, what is it out there to discover?
Right. Well, so you know what? It's kind of like I want to go back to that question where you asked Stu, like, how did you feel when you got the call?
Yes.
So I was listening to Talking Catholic the night before.
How about that?
This is why, right? So this is why
worlds collide.
There is a higher purpose here happening, and is nothing ironic or coincidental. So this is kind of like ties into what we're talking about. Like, so I was listening to Talking Catholic, and I was listening to Mary Beth Peabody's trip to the border.
Oh, yes.
And with Catholic Charities.
Yeah, we were together on that.
Right. I missed that part, but thank you. That was so touching. And I listened to it from beginning to end. And by the end, I was in tears because it was, I am an orphan from Catholic Charities. I was in the agency as a baby. And what you've done with Catholic Charities and what Catholic Charities has done was amazing. So I was just like, wow, this is a really great podcast. I should listen to this more. So then I get an email from Mary Beth Peabody. And I'm like, this is weird.
Oh my
because
God.
I just listened to her.
That's incredible.
Right? No, you can't say this is coincidental.
No,
There
that
is
is
a
definitely
hand
a-
going on here. So I said, absolutely, I'll do whatever you want. I said, we have to sit down and talk. And so I was able to tell Mary Beth a little bit of my background with Catholic Charities and how I would absolutely do anything for them and anything for the diocese. So
That's great.
Yeah, I was. That's what we bring to the classroom. That's what we bring. This higher purpose. We have that higher purpose, and we all have our stories to bring. Like Mr. Stu here, coming from the public sector and bringing that to his classroom. That's what we bring to a Catholic school education.
That's incredible. And Stu, if you had to say, for parents that are trying to sort of make up their minds about why is it important to have a Catholic school education, you were educated in the public sector, and so you know the difference now being a teacher. So what can you tell them for those who are in the fence?
Well, as you say, I mean, I was public school born and raised. I'm the oldest of three, and so my parents didn't have the money for Catholic school when I was growing up. My youngest brother went Catholic school the entire way through, even through college, Catholic college. But that was not the case for me. But nevertheless, my family has always been very, very strong in the faith. And my godfather's a priest. And, so and I went through CCD. And so what I would say now to parents that are considering, I would say, if you can swing it, go to Catholic school. I have been teaching CCD for probably, I'm at Christ the King for 9 years now, so I've been teaching CCD for probably about 15, I guess, at this point.
Wow.
And I, after I started teaching at Christ the King, I started to get a little jaded that this CCD thing it's just not doing the trick for most. It's, once a week for an hour. Some of it's not being reinforced at home. So, if you are, this is what I'd say to parents, if you are somebody, where your faith means a lot to you and you can swing it and, get your children into a Catholic school. Yeah. I firmly believe that.
Can you answer to the same question? What would be sort of so we have definitely God as the center of our schools. That's, number one. If there's another thing to discover about Catholic schools, what would you mention?
Well, we focus on, catechism and sacraments, but my school is really good at teaching the students virtues. We have virtue of the week. We have our virtues are posted along our walls and our hallways. And if we're not implementing some sort of biblical catechism, hardcore Catholic stuff, we're implementing our virtues. So, for instance, I'm teaching right now Balloons Over Broadway, which is the a STEM activity to teach for Thanksgiving. So it's the design and the creation of the very first Macy's Day Parade Thanksgiving floats. And so the creator, his name was Tony, and he was a marionette maker. And he grew up to be the creator of these floats. And it was amazing. But what we learned was not only the design and the measurement and the math and the creation of it all, and also the perseverance. Yeah. And what does it take to be that kind of person that has to live in a culture that is constantly beating us down? So we take these virtues and we put them on an elementary level, and we say, you can be this kind of person that God wants you to be.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
Mike, she mentioned something about teaching not only certain grades, but all grades. at the school, right?
Yeah, I do.
So that must be a very interesting mix.
It's a culture shock a little bit.
Starting with pre-K students going up to 8th grade. Like,
Right.
how is it?
I couldn't do it.
It's
I don't know
fun.
how you do
How
it.
is it teaching the pre-K students? Like,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my St. Peter's school in Merchantville, we did just post a few pictures from our little pre-K STEM activity yesterday, where we read a little story called "Run Turkey Run," and then they made hideouts. We had a little turkey, and so they had to design a little hideout for the turkey. And they love it. I mean, pre-Kers are natural builders. It's not hard with them at all. The hard part with the pre-Kers was giving them a mouse on a computer. So they picked it up and they put it at their ear and they said hello, and they tried to, and then they always try to like put their fingers all over the screen on the Chromebooks, and I'm like, it's not a touch screen. We're not that rich.
advanced.
We don't have that much money yet. It's definitely challenging on every level. But what I do love was when I have my 8th graders helping my preschoolers, or my 7th graders helping my 1st graders log in. Logging in is the hardest part.
Yeah, right.
So when I get to pull a few of my older kids to help the younger kids, everybody wins and everybody loves it.
I love hearing that.
That's great. Tell us about the kids you teach. What are the grades again?
I'm just 4th grade.
4th grade.
I actually, as I said, I've been teaching CCD for a long time. I always did 3rd grade CCD, and then when I got hired at Christ the King, I was teaching 4th grade, and I did 3rd and 4th grade for a couple of years between CCD and at Christ the King. And I said, why am I doing this? Why don't I just make it uniform? So for the last 9 years or 7 years-ish, I've been teaching 4th grade for both CCD and Christ the King.
Wow.
And we use Sadlier for both, so the curriculum is identical. And just 4th grade, 9 and 10-year-olds. When I first went back to college, as I said, my second go-round, for education, I pretty much figured I wanted to do 3rd, 4th, or 5th, the intermediate grades.
Okay.
And got hired at 4th grade and been there ever since. And I really think it's just a fantastic age.
Oh, it is. Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Those kids are fun, right?
They really are. I mean, there's really still a beautiful innocence to them, but yet at the same time, they can write an essay and,
They haven't learned sarcasm yet. So
Well,
it's-
You'd be surprised,
The
you
kind
know?
of sarcasm they have is great.
Yeah.
Mike, what grade is Jake? Jack.
Jack is now in 6th grade. I found 4th grade was the year that he found out that being the class clown is fun. And he had a teacher that kind of supported his class clown antics. So he sort of, and for me, that was fine because I was always the class clown. And
Really?
it's hard to believe, I know. But I'm a firm believer that humor has a place at all times, including funerals and deathbeds and all sorts.
my
I mean,
God,
there's never a
Mike.
time you can't crack a joke because that's where you show joy and love, and that's my way of
That's
showing
God right
people
there.
that
That's his
isn't
way of
it?
showing love.
God, exactly, through my sarcasm. But no, that was 4th grade is the year where it got fun for me for Jack to be in school because the history had hit a point. He was now learning history that I remembered, that I was most interested in. Mm-hmm. And he was writing essays, and since I have a writing background, I could really help him with that. And it was also the year that I found that I'd hit my limit of math ability, to which I was like,
6th grade?
Good luck, dude.
yes. Jack just recently came home with something, and I go, Jennifer, can you help
might-
Jack with something?
You might become a friend of Stu, and then, that
I
might
found
help
all
your family.
I now have an app on my phone that does. It's called Photomath.
Oh, it's the best app
It's the
ever.
best. Yeah,
Wow.
you shoot it towards an equation, and it figures out the equation for you.
Wow.
I'm
I mean,
And then you
that.
can click on it, and it will show you the steps and
Really?
stuff too. Yeah,
That's
so
great.
it
It's
actually
brilliant.
is a very,
So
very
as a
helpful.
math teacher, you recommend it.
Yeah, highly recommend.
for those of us who need remedial math, I'm
Yeah.
a big supporter of
I
it.
think we're
Yeah.
getting an advertising for that.
I don't know. I don't
Photomath?
just
That's
have
right.
many
Yeah.
kids. Maybe the kids shouldn't know that. But the
Yeah.
parents should.
The parents, yes.
But that's not true though, because I don't know if it's not true or not, but when Jack and I are working on his homework together, we have an Alexa in the room.
Oh, yeah.
And I make him
It's
work
technology.
on. Well, yeah, but I make him work on stuff, and then if he gets stuck, he'll go, Dad, can I ask Alexa? And I go, absolutely, ask Alexa for a little bit of help. and either it'll be a math equation or it'll be like I forget what he was like. Oh, he was learning about Egypt. So he wanted to know where the Sphinxes were, and he couldn't remember it. And I was like, well, you got a tool right there. Give it a try.
That's great.
And when that doesn't work, we fire up the iPad and ask Google. But with the idea that it's not a cheat. I'm not doing it as a cheat. It's a research tool.
It's a research,
Absolutely.
yeah. So as teachers, you probably are asked the question about the curriculum and how do you feel, we are preparing our children for high school, for college, for the future, and, to be productive individuals of society. How do you feel the curriculum you're teaching is sort of like out there, and, how is it different from other things people are doing in non-Catholic schools?
Well, I think one of the things that I absolutely love about our Catholic schools is even though we have a curriculum through the diocese and worked on through ACE, it's fluid. So like I was saying before, I believe so strongly in cross-curricular education, and because I have that kind of autonomy to be able to do that, take a little bit. So, like, for example, I'll give you an example. When I'm teaching about the European explorers in social studies coming over, at the same time I can then teach them about the motions of the oceans, the tides, the waves, and the currents,
geography
and geography, and and so and then also tie in the religion. I'll talk about egocentrism, and so I absolutely love that we have that autonomy, in our Catholic schools, where a lot of public schools don't. A lot of them, you are almost scripted in the order you have to teach, and
the absolute standard, the next standard, and you have to follow that.
Absolutely.
In some ways, and there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like something else to discover about Catholic schools. Our curriculum, even though we have our standards, we also have some flexibility to allow teachers to do more with what we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if there's a deep conversation that somebody wants to have in the middle of, say, geography, or in the middle, we can take the time and say, well, let's dive deeper into that.
Yeah, that's true.
So how does your technology curriculum varies, along the way, like starting from pre-K to 8th? Like, our students start with what, and what do they finish with, like, by the end of 8th grade? Why should they?
So I made the tech curriculum for my school, and I don't really have a diocesan framework, and that's totally fine, because I was able to fit in the religious aspects that I wanted to, and so with pre-K, we're starting with the iPad, and so I started with the iPad, and my teachers told me, the pre-K teachers told me that they were really having a hard time with creating letters and identifying letters. So I'm really focusing on right now is alphabet and number recognition. And also how to use their strong pointer finger and use their fine motor skills on the iPad to draw the letters.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the most basic level that I'm on. If you want to fast forward to 8th grade, we have this really great opportunity for our students in our school called the Friday Special, and that is for 7th and 8th grade students only, where there is one period where a small group of those grades will go to one of 4 classes. It is a Greek class, an elevated art class that is taught by a local artisan who owns a coffee shop in Merchantville.
Nice. And
then there is an advanced drama class where they're creating monologues and doing all kinds of drama-y stuff. And then there's my class, which is called Digital Saints. And so in Digital Saints, I kind of came to this idea that last few years I've been at St. Peter's, I've realized that a lot of my students are making fake Instagram accounts, and how this is a problem. And so I thought to myself, well, they want to make content. So how about I just show them how to make good content and not have to lie about it? So I said, I would like to make a class where we're making a podcast, we make a website, we make...
Ooh, Mike, you like that?
Hey, listen, I got news for you, man. I haven't told you yet. We're going to be on the podcast in December.
Woo! Ooh.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
I'm
I can't wait.
excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So they're making content student run, student created, student focused, all of them, and I just say, hey, let's use this tool and let's use this tool, and they are off and running. They even made their own little mission statement. I love it.
Oh, I love
That's
that.
great. You know, I think
delightful.
parents always look for things that their kids can do that sort of like are real life skills,
Yes.
you know? And so when you have a child in 8th grade that it's able to sort of like, hey, I sort of know how to create a podcast or how to start a new website, those are things that parents really are looking for in terms
Yeah.
of the skills that we want to develop in our children.
Well, and one of my mantras is technology should be a creator. Students should view technology as a creation tool, not just as a consuming tool.
Yeah. It's oftentimes, particularly in the culture we're at right now, there always seems to be like this resistance to technology and creation. And like, oh, well, everything's going to go terrible if our kids are on their iPads all the time and stuff like that. And I agree to that to a point that you need diversity, right? If you're spending 8 hours a day on your iPad, that's a problem. But
Correct.
if you're spending 8 hours on a day, well, not 8 hours, but if you're spending a portion of your day on your iPad and you're creating content, whether it's, Pulitzer Prize winning content or something dumb that you and your friends are coming together with, that's just not dumb, but it's fun to do. They're both equally useful.
Yeah.
I find when I was after college, I had a bunch of friends. We decided to become filmmakers and but legit filmmakers. There was a contest in the Philadelphia area called the Philadelphia 40-Hour Film Contest, where you have 48 hours to create a 7-minute video. Now you may sound, 7-minute video, that's easy. But if you want to win, it's hard.
Yeah.
And they give you 3 pieces of information. They give you a name, they give you a line of dialogue, and they give you something that must appear in the video. And you got to, those 3 things. And then you have to create this thing, and you have to have it all turned around within 48 hours. And it was fascinating, and it was a blast to do, and we got no benefit out of it in any way, shape, or form, other than for 10 years, we created this thing, and it was the highlight of my year. And the year we won was even more of a highlight.
Wow.
And it was great. And then I kind of retired from the team, and I ran it for 2 years.
Cool.
And we would get 45 teams from all around the country, from all around the area, and it was a national and international. As a matter of fact, if you made it to the international, you went to Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival,
Cannes Film Festival,
where you could show your video. It's great, and some of the content that was created was outstanding. But during that process is how I learned how to create these videos that we're doing for Facebook.
Wow.
These
And
30-second
so now
commercials.
you are using these skills for real life, for work, and make a living out of it.
Almost everything that I do from work of a technology standpoint was stuff I enjoyed consuming and learned how to create. And it's a blast. I love it. So I encourage people. So when we got to visit your class, I was just in love because it was like, oh, this is like
I know they're
little
geeking
nerdy
out.
guys like
Let's
me.
geek out.
I know. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
And I am so impressed with my students because I know them on a level, and but when we I have 3 students in particular in my head where I said, hey, who wants to do the podcast? And they rose their hand on their own. And they are incredibly reserved, and they have their own little issues going on. But when they said they wanted to do the podcast, I was like, awesome. All right, let's go. And then they actually did it and scripted it on their own. They own script, own editing, and own publishing.
That sounds like a fancy.
I was going to say scripts and editing. That's more fancy than me.
Editing is super basic, so don't get too impressed. But for 3 boys who do not talk much, they talk like little old men, with the
chatterboxes.
Right,
with
they were just little, and they're like, yes, I believe that is true, and I enjoyed that too. They brought their own true selves almost. I hope that really pulled them out.
That's the key to a podcast. A good podcast is the key to his authenticity.
Or even content.
And anything.
That's why Mike is Mike.
That because I am so authentic. That's right. This is all you got. Is all I have. But it's true. And this goes back to what we were talking about with Stream, right? So there's technology, but that's also art. That is so much art right there.
Yeah.
And nowadays, you can do digital art. We have an artist that the diocese works with on a fairly regular basis, a man by the name of Brother Mickey, and Brother Mickey's been on the show probably 100 episodes ago, but it was fascinating. And he was talking about his own process where he was always a pencil and paint artist before, but ever since he sort of dove into the iPad, he's now added digital art to that, and the stuff he creates is beautiful.
It's amazing.
It really
that's
is
a big
amazing.
jump for some artists. That's a huge skill set.
But he's always been very progressive in that mindset, and it's the stuff he creates now. Like one of his creations was used for the basis of an entire theme of an event that the diocese was running about a year ago, and the
convocation.
No, we'll get to the convocation. The convocation still brings up chills.
I know.
For me.
I just saw you like exhale.
It's like, God,
exhale. I was waiting. That's why I brought it up, because I wanted to see you exhale.
You know, I feel bad. You know who I kicked out right before you walked into the podcast was Donna Ottaviano Brett.
She's my hero.
Was she here?
I'm so stupid that I kicked her out before she came on. But before you guys got into the building, but she's now working on another event that the diocese.
Bless her heart.
For those who've heard us talk endlessly about Man Up, the Woman Up, which is not what it'll be called, had its first committee meeting today.
Oh, great!
So yeah,
I'm looking forward to
lot
that.
of convocation heads are a part of it. So
That's great.
It'll be very good.
I think there's only one piece, of many that we want to say. We are Catholic schools that help children become sort of like academics that are really good with their spirituality and that also are in service to others. That's part of our mission, right? So Stu, could you talk a little bit about how parents can discover Catholic schools in a sense of service and how we experience that?
Well, we were talking before, and I was thinking of my classroom. I have hanging up on my wall the abbreviated version of the Great Commandment: love God, love others, love self. So putting others before oneself is constantly a theme, that I'm bringing up in my class all the time. And I actually only have one classroom rule hanging up on my wall, and it says honor the Great Commandment. So pretty much I'm always talking about others to my students, and I use, like, even myself, I use examples. On Sundays I volunteer at the nursing home in my old town, and I'll talk to the kids about that. I have a coloring contest every year where the residents of the nursing home that I volunteer at are the ones that judge the students' artwork.
I'm sure they love that.
Yeah, they do. They do. And then we return the favor by we make Christmas cards for the residents of the nursing home at Christmas and stuff. And to get to your question, the way that I get the parents involved with a lot of this stuff too is I send a weekly newsletter out. So I'm keeping them, updated on everything we're doing in the classroom at all times. And in that newsletter, I'll talk about, what the residents of the nursing home did or what the students have done for them. I talk about the Great Commandment. So I'm constantly, singing the praises of putting others before oneself. Right now, with it being the start of the holiday season with Thanksgiving and all, Christ the King, as sure everybody else as well, is doing so many things, coat drives and food drives and
toy drives.
And with Veterans Day that just happened, we collect leftover Halloween candy and make little goodie bags for veterans and stuff. So there are so many things that we're doing right now.
Something useful to do with the Halloween candy, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
What do you mean? Other than eat it? I don't know what you're talking about.
So I'm constantly making sure the parents are aware of these things and giving them updates on, last day to donate is blah, 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 and really trying to make sure that they know that all this stuff is going on so that they too can support, just that ideology of putting others before oneself.
What about you, Jen?
Yeah, we at St. Peter in Merchantville, we have our senior center right next door. So those seniors are feisty. They're great. We love them so much. So part of that Digital Saints class that I was just explaining, on our website, we have a positive projects a web page. And so our first positive project was with our seniors. And so I kind of wanted to do the idea where, when parents take a picture of their kid the first day of school with the board and it says name and Well, I wanted my students to go over to the seniors and take a picture with the seniors with that same kind of board where it says the senior's name and then the student name and then the year the senior graduated and then the year the student will graduate.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
And then I wanted this on the board. It also said words of wisdom from the senior and then words of encouragement from the student. So creating that board meant that there needed to be a conversation between the student and the senior. And then, so we went over, we talked, and then, and it was funny in the lag time, like where I was trying to go in between pictures and make the board and get all my information that I needed to make the board. The seniors and the students played wordscapes, and then they just loved it. They were all over with the wordscapes. So the students and the seniors, I couldn't take those iPads away from them. So, among a million other things that St. Peter's School is constantly doing to bring in the community and help the community, that's just something that I'm doing in my class.
That's impressive.
I love that. Marianela, you have the youngest children in the room, I think.
Ooh.
And you are,
So she gets the least sleep.
Yeah, well, that part's definitely true.
The most hugs and kisses.
Well, I didn't think about that. That is a nice thing. All right. But when as a young mother, when you're looking at the schools, you spend a lot of time in the schools. What is it that really attracts you? I mean, you're the one that's going to have to be doing this pretty soon.
Well, I think number one thing is that God, as I said before, is at the center, and I can see that on every school I walk into. And so I believe that in this world, it is sort of like hard to, bring your children up with so much value and to respect others, to have a relationship with Christ. And so that's important for me, and I think that's the number one reason why I pick Catholic schools. But other than that, I also think that our students, in terms of academics, are getting more because our teachers are there not because of the money. We know that.
You mean they're not rolling?
As the Catholic Schools Office, a representative of that team, I really do know that. And we are tremendously grateful to all the teachers that wake up every morning and try to do their best to teach our students in the best way possible with the resources that you have. And so we definitely thank you for that. And I, as a parent, thank you for that because I see it as a big sacrifice.
Yeah.
And, and also as a young mother, I think for my family, it is we believe in education and in the good value of a Catholic education. And even though people think, it's expensive, like Catholic schools, we really do a lot with the little we get. And so I have tremendous respect for that. And my child is loved, and every time I walk into her school, people know her by her name. They hug her, it's like a family atmosphere.
So true.
Yeah,
and so every time I go and pick her up, I have to pick her up every afternoon, and my husband is the one dropping her off in the mornings. I see her happy and I see her learning, and she's telling me all about what do you learn today? And from, the Our Father to the ABCs and learning how to write her name, and she's in pre-K 4.
They're getting it.
It's incredible. So to see them learning in an environment that is safe, that is God-centered, and that that is academically sound. It's all I want as a parent.
I send my kids to Catholic school too. So my kids go to school with me, and I have.
I've done that.
Yeah, it's really. I know you're looking at me now like I'm crazy, but it's really great because we're all under one calendar and one roof. And something happened today where I had to pull the kids out because somebody needed an emergency dentist appointment, and I'm like, everybody move, here we go, So I love it, and I'm blessed with the perspective to see my kids at school because
really
I
nice.
see things that I see the things that I really want all the other parents to see, because I see them succeed in so many times,
Yeah. Stu, I'm curious, one of the things we sort of hedged around the conversation a little bit, but Catholic school is sometimes pricier than what certainly going to a public school would be. I'm curious if someone came up to you and said, why should I spend the money to send my kid to school? And you had to think of it like an elevator pitch. You had 45 seconds to explain it to them. What would you tell them? I know, I'm trying to explain the impossible in 45 seconds.
I would tell them that it's worth it. The investment that they would be putting into their children's, like, just their spiritual life, the virtues and the values that they will get out of it. I guess that's really what I would say. It's just, it's worth it.
That's a great way of putting it. That's essentially what, a couple of years ago. It's a shame Mary Beth Peabody couldn't be here today. She's traveling.
Yeah, she really did all this work.
She did a ton of work, most of which I helped her come up with some ideas, and then I quietly walked away and let her take care of everything with her and John Kalis.
Good job, guys.
They did. The videos really turned out outstanding, and the stuff that and the
Can't wait to see
companion.
'em.
Yeah.
You're gonna love them. We're not showing them to you early though.
Aren't we going to give them a preview?
No, too bad. But Mary Beth created a lot of companion pieces that are going up on social media. Have already started going up as well.
Yes, started yesterday.
The bloopers.
But this actually, yeah, exactly. There were a few bloopers. But several years ago, we actually kind of started this process when we were coming up with sort of new marketing for South Jersey Catholic schools, starting with calling them collectively South Jersey Catholic schools. I know it sounds strange, but it took a meeting to come up with that. Mm-hmm. And then in the next meeting, we were talking about, we could come up with a tagline, and that tagline ended up being the gift of a lifetime.
The gift of a lifetime.
And we found that it actually really, I'm not saying that everybody loves it, but for me, I thought it encapsulates South Jersey Catholic schools from a lot of areas. For one thing, you're giving your children the gift of this opportunity that they wouldn't have it otherwise. They're receiving the gift while they're there of an education they wouldn't be able to find anyplace else. And they are becoming the gift when they graduate and they move on to the rest of the world, and they bring everything they've learned with them. So
look at you.
Yeah, hey man, I get paid middling money for this stuff. But it's true. I mean, it really did encapsulate everything. And we created graphic and stuff like that. But we want people to understand, particularly with Catholic schools, there's always been this philosophy of, because they've always been rooted to a parish and a community, that they were sort of individual of themselves. But Catholic schools across the board, in South Jersey in particular, but across the world, all bring a similar message to the students, and more importantly to the families, because we don't think of Catholic school students as students alone. We think of Catholic school families. We're not just helping the kids, we're helping the parents, and if there are siblings, we're helping them as well. And when things go sideways in families, which often happens, we can be pastoral to those families who are going through difficult times. And when they're going through great times, we can
celebrate with them.
We can celebrate with them. Exactly. Mm-hmm. We can celebrate with them. And we can do it by thanking God that a lot of people can't. And
we're not restricted by that.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
awesome.
awesome.
A beautiful thing.
It's
really
a beautiful
is.
thing.
It really is.
Indeed. I just want to sort of like conclude a little bit of our conversation, right?
We can wrap up. We're actually getting close.
We are getting close, but not really conclude. But to read our mission statement from that we came together a while ago now. Is it 2 years it's been since
it's been 2 years,
we created this mission statement? And it took a lot of work, and sort of like Mary Beth Peabody also led these efforts.
Well, that's because she a lot of people make mission statements that aren't mission statements. They are just taglines.
Yes.
She actually went through and created a proper mission statement.
It was a big
Can you bring
process.
that to my classroom?
What, the mission statement?
Yeah,
or
we're going to
Peabody?
bring that idea to my classroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
no problem.
so
Right
for you
kind of
guys,
missions.
like everybody that is part of the South Jersey Catholic Schools family should know that our mission is to educate and inspire young minds spiritually, academically, and in service to others. Short and sweet, but that's definitely
Well-rounded.
the essence of who we are, Mike, isn't it?
It really is. And I'll tell you, I because I'm the director of communications, I have to touch on a lot of things in the diocese, but working with the schools is easily my favorite. It requires no twisting of the arm to go out and do something. As a matter of fact, because I only got to go to 3 of the video shoots, I went to Jen's, was not at Stu's. I was so disappointed I missed the other 5 or 4 because Mary Beth and John came back and told me how they went, and then I saw the footage later. I was like, oh man, I would have loved to have been there because I get such a kick out of it.
And it's so interesting.
I was jealous. I was like, I didn't get to do any of that fun work.
Well, now we have to do a Spanish version, and we'll have you in that.
Yeah,
great.
And like when you go to each classroom, like they're so different.
Yeah.
Yet
I love that.
Yeah, we have all our own culture, but yet it's all rooted in one thing, and that's.
And this is a different digression, but for me, the joy I get of traveling is going to different churches and experience a different church, experience, a different mass, a different whatever. And I absolutely love that. Different priests, different homilies, the whole bit. But it's always the same. So it's different, but the same. Our Catholic schools are the exact same way. They are different, but the same.
And that's the gift of a lifetime.
It really.
That gift of a lifetime.
What a wise thing to say. I am so excited.
Mike, aren't we going to ask like a fun question to sort of like wrap up this podcast?
Yeah, but usually I warn them before I'm about to do that. Do you have a fun question to ask them?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, it's kind of like I want to hear what's the craziest thing that you have experienced as a teacher. What's like that story that you
that
sort
is
of
a
like...
loaded question. I think you just asked Marianela.
I did. Sort of like...
This can go in so many different directions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Loaded.
Okay, can you sort of like shrink it a little bit, Mike?
Can I shrink? No, that's a perfect question.
Oh, okay.
I would go with what's the most joyous because the most memorable might not be
most
joyous.
Memorable,
but
yeah.
No, I mean,
It's been years now, so you may have a lot of stories.
So the question is, what's the most craziest thing that's happened to us in a classroom?
I think you can take it any way you want.
And you
we may find my first edit ever on a podcast.
Well, it wasn't in a Catholic school.
That's fine.
That's fine.
I was an urban educator for a few years, and I taught in Philly and in Camden. In Philly, I taught technology on the 6th floor of the Jarvis Building on Vine Street.
Really?
And it smelled like cancer.
Oh.
But
it's not a good smell.
Whenever it rained,
you said it could go either.
I had majestic.
I did.
Right. Whenever it rained, my tech lab had majestic waterfalls flowing through.
How beautiful!
It was gorgeous. It's Philadelphia gives us such beauty.
That's finding joy anywhere.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that's pretty unique. Right
I'm
there.
kind of used to like working with what I got, and not a lot, but trying to do my best with it.
And just in case anybody didn't miss what she was exactly saying, that did not happen at a Catholic school.
Right, that didn't happen at a Catholic school. No.
It was a nice
clarifying, right?
Philly school, not us. How about you, Stu? What was
I just a cute story, because we were talking about humor before and stuff. I'm kind of a nut in the classroom and stuff. So before a kid can go up to the board, sometimes I would make them, before you can go up and solve that problem, you have to, make the sound of a cow, and they got to moo, and then they go up there, and then so I go through all this different stuff, and I told this one little boy, like, all right, you got to make the sound of a unicorn, and he said, unicorns don't exist anymore.
Anymore.
Yeah.
And that was that was just something that always stick with me.
That's a guy who listened to the famous unicorn song by the Irish Rovers, because it's the whole thing about how they didn't make it onto the ark. I love that. That's one of my favorite songs. Yeah.
That's great.
Well, thank you both for staying with us today and
pleasure.
talking for
Thank you so much.
57 minutes. This was wonderful. So Jen Marisi from St. Peter's in Merchantville and Stuart Brayshaw from Christ the King in Haddonfield sat with us today. And thank you, Marianela, for joining me. It's been so nice to have you on the podcast more. And this is one of the few times we get to be together in front of mics where I actually understand what you're saying.
That is great.
I'm your producer for the Spanish language YouTube show, and sometimes it all goes over my head.
Please, everybody, stay tuned to this Discover Catholic Schools Week, November 17th to the 23rd. Look us on our social media. We are on Facebook at South Jersey Catholic Schools. And if you want to look how these two wonderful teachers look like and the rest of the teachers we had on the videos, please check us out.
That's right. You need to figure out when there are. We did stream, so he's going to be like Thursday, Friday, and I think yours is going up Monday or Tuesday.
Thank you.
The best bet would be watch them all, and so that way,
watch them all. Don't just watch for these people. I mean,
Yeah.
here, you just listen to them for an hour. You only
cool
get 30
stuff.
seconds on Facebook. But anyway, everybody, thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next
Thank
week.
you.
All right, thank you very
Talking
much.
Catholic. Bye-bye.